important contributors of the women's rights movement are Gloria Steinem and Lucy Stone, women of the 19th and 20th century. These two feminists helped women gain the right to vote and have their own personal rights. They both chose to write about women's issues at their time. Gloria Steinem began her interest in feminism and freedom of rights. She later became a journalist in New York trying to promote women's rights. Lucy Stone developed and joined organizations concerning women's rights. She gave speeches on freedom to black males as well as for women's suffrage. Lucy Stone and Gloria Steinem both had an interest in women's suffrage and covered these issues through public speaking and published works. Lucy Stone was born August 13, 1818, in West Brookfield, Massachusetts. After the Civil War, she became part of the anti-slavery movement, dealing with the question of giving rank or any level of importance to black males, and became an agent for the Anti-Slavery Society. Many times she spoke for abolition of slavery and also set aside time to speak for women's rights.
Gloria Steinem is a world-famous women's rights activist known for her impressive work in feminism and promoting women's rights. She was born on March 25, 1984 in Toledo, Ohio. In later years, after Gloria became a journalist, she worked undercover as a Playboy bunny, trying to expose the violation of rights being imposed on women. She first used writing as a method of change, but as she continually grows more famous, she speaks publicly, is interviewed on television, and has had biographies written about her. She was the founder of Miss Magazine in 1972. A magazine run entirely by women. She wants to live in a world where women are equal. In the 1800s, women had much fewer legal rights as well as job opportunities than men, so women's professions were ultimately wifehood and motherhood. Women were considered of a lower stature towards men and were valued far less than they were 100 years later in the 20th century. However, by then, most nations had won their women's right to vote, and their job and educational opportunities were increased. Far later into the 20th century, women were equal to men, no longer inferior. Yet Gloria still feels as though women are being oppressed by men. She continues to print issues of Miss Magazine and speaks publicly trying to spread awareness of this problem. 19th century feminists and activists such as Lucy Stone were faced with different issues than the 20th century women, such as Gloria Steinem. Lucy Stone fought for the women's right to vote and freedom for black males, which were already amended by the 20th century and was no longer an issue.
Lucy Stone and Gloria Steinem both used public speaking in magazines to spread their thoughts on women's suffrage. The Women's Journal, published by Stone, attracted many female readers and went on publishing until women were allowed to vote. Gloria Steinem magazine, Miss Magazine, was very popular and had published many articles. Her method of publishing her thoughts had worked because it had reached many readers. She also did a lot of public speaking, which spread her ideas on abortions and transsexualism, topics that weren't even existent in the 19th century. Many topics like these, the roles of women and their rights, have all changed through the 19th and 20th century. Therefore, there are many differences on what these two women have fought about. Though the issues they fought for varied, they both had contributed their beliefs and thoughts on women's rights to the U.S. effectively.
Gloria continues to talk publicly to feminists in schools. She worked with Hillary Clinton in the 2008 election, trying to help elect the first woman president. Lucy Stone and Gloria Steinem both were advocates for women's rights we have today. They furthered the idea that women could vote and have rights equal to men. To help promote these ideas, they spoke through public speech and writing. These women covered issues on women's suffrage and spread awareness through